You've been told your whole life that if something is worth doing, it's supposed to feel hard, that the suffering is the proof you care, that discipline means doing things you hate over and over until you either break or succeed. And you believed it, because everyone around you believed it too. But here's the thing nobody's saying out loud. The people who are actually winning at the things you want to win at, they're not white-knuckling through it. They genuinely want to be doing the thing. And that's not a personality trait they were born with. That's a system. And once you see how it works, you can't unsee it. Think about the last time you played a video game. Not because you had to, not because it was good for you, or because it was building towards something, just because you wanted to. Now think about how long you played. 2 hours, 4 hours. You forgot to eat. You looked up and it was dark outside. Nobody had to motivate you. Nobody had to remind you to stay consistent. You just kept going because stopping felt worse than continuing. Now think about the last time you tried to clean your apartment, or stick to a diet for more than a week, or sit down and do the work that actually moves your life forward. Suddenly every distraction in the world becomes interesting. Suddenly you need water, and then you need to check your phone, and then somehow an hour passed and you did nothing. Same brain, completely different experience. Why that question is more important than any productivity hack you've ever read. Because if you can answer it honestly, you get access to something most people never figure out. How to make the process itself the thing you actually want. Not through motivation, not through discipline, through understanding exactly what your brain is responding to and giving it that signal on purpose. Here's what's actually happening. Your brain doesn't care about your goals. It doesn't care about your dream body, or your clean apartment, or your successful business. It cares about one thing: feedback. Specifically, fast feedback. The signal that says what you just did mattered, that you moved, that something changed because of your action. Games are engineered around this. Every click, every kill, every level up, every coin collected, it's a feedback loop firing constantly. Your brain is getting hit with tiny confirmation signals every few seconds. You press the button, something happened. You're progressing. The progress is visible. The reward is immediate. Your brain is in a state of constant low-level reward, and it wants more of it, so it keeps playing. Drugs work on the exact same principle, but more brutally. You take the substance, and within minutes, sometimes seconds, you feel different. The feedback is instant and overwhelming. Your brain doesn't have to wait, doesn't have to wonder if it's working, doesn't have to trust a process. It just feels it. And because the feedback is so fast and so strong, the brain starts treating that substance as the most important thing in the world. It will reorganize your entire life around getting that signal again. Now look at your diet. You eat a salad. What feedback do you get? Maybe you feel slightly less guilty, maybe nothing. Certainly nothing that feels good in the next 30 seconds. But if you eat the burger, the feedback is immediate. It tastes incredible. It feels satisfying. Dopamine hits fast. Your brain has no interest in your 6-week plan. It's making decisions based on what produces the signal right now. And right now, the salad produces almost nothing. This is why diets fail. Not because people lack willpower, because the feedback loop is completely broken. You're asking your brain to keep choosing the option that produces no immediate reward over and over for weeks on the promise that eventually something will change. That's not a discipline problem. That's a design problem. And here's where it gets interesting, because you can fix the design. Let's talk about what actually happens to people who've been going to the gym for 2 years. Ask them why they go, and most of them won't say because they have to. They'll say they actually look forward to it. They feel wrong when they miss a session. The process itself, the lifting, the sweating, the feeling of their body working, has become something they genuinely want. But ask someone in their first 3 weeks and they'll tell you it's pure punishment. What changed? The feedback loop kicked in. After enough sessions, the body starts signaling back. You start feeling stronger. You notice things in the mirror. You sleep better. You feel different on the days you go versus the days you don't. The process started producing real, felt feedback, and the brain started treating it differently. It stopped being something to endure and started being something that actually does something. The problem is, most people quit before the feedback loop has time to establish. They're in the gap, the period where you're doing the work, but the brain hasn't connected the doing with the feeling yet. And in that gap, without any signal coming back, the brain treats the whole thing as pointless, so you stop. The solution isn't to push harder through the gap. The solution is to engineer feedback inside the gap so your brain has something to respond to while it's waiting for the real thing to arrive. This is exactly what games do for the early levels. Before you're actually skilled, before anything real is happening, the game is throwing rewards at you constantly. Little sounds, animations, progress bars filling up, achievements unlocking. None of it matters in the grand scheme of the game, but your brain doesn't know that. It just knows something is happening, something is responding, you are moving, and so it stays. You can do this with anything. The dishes, the diet, the work project, anything. Let's take the dishes, because nothing feels more pointless than dishes. You wash them, they get dirty again, you wash them again. There's no destination, no achievement, no feeling of arrival. It's just a loop, and your brain hates loops with no payoff. But what if you ran a timer, not to stress yourself out, just to see how fast you could do it? Now there's a game, there's a score, there's feedback every time you beat your previous time. What if you had a streak? 7 days of a clean kitchen, visible on a calendar on your wall. Now there's a progress bar. Now there's something at stake when you skip a day. What if you built a ritual around it? A specific playlist that only plays when you're cleaning, so your brain starts to associate the music with the activity, and the small hit of pleasure the music gives becomes part of the experience of cleaning. Now the dishes have a feedback loop. Not a huge one, but enough. Enough for your brain to stop treating it like pointless suffering and start treating it like something that has a shape, a rhythm, a small but real reward. This sounds simple. It is simple, but simple isn't the same as easy. And more importantly, simple isn't the same as what most people are doing. Most people are trying to get through their chores, their diet, their work, through sheer willpower and self-talk, telling themselves to just do it, feeling guilty when they don't, trying harder the next time, failing again, concluding that they're just not disciplined enough. But discipline was never the point. The design was the point. Let's go deeper on diet, because this is where I see people suffer the most and also where the fix is most available. The reason you can't stick to eating well isn't that you don't know what to eat. You know, everyone knows. Vegetables, protein, less sugar, less processed food. The information isn't the problem. The experience is the problem. Healthy food, especially when you're starting out, doesn't taste as good as what you were eating before. It doesn't produce the same immediate hit. Your brain keeps comparing the two options, and the healthy one keeps losing on the only metric your brain actually cares about in the moment. How does this feel right now? So instead of fighting that, work with it. Your goal in the first few weeks isn't to be perfectly healthy. It's to close the gap between what's good for you and what produces immediate feedback. Learn to cook 1 or 2 things that are healthy and actually taste incredible to you. Not okay, not fine, actually good. Because if the food produces real pleasure, real immediate reward, your brain stops fighting you on it. The signal comes fast enough that the healthy choice starts to win. Then stack the feedback. Track it. Not obsessively, but visibly. A simple note on your phone. How many days in a row you ate well. A progress photo every 2 weeks. A note about how your energy felt on days you ate clean versus days you didn't. You're building a feedback loop your brain can actually read. You're giving it evidence that the thing is working in a time frame it can process. And once you feel better consistently, once your body is actually signaling back, better sleep, more energy, clearer head, the loop closes on its own. The healthy food starts to win, not because you forced it to, but because it's now producing the signal. Your brain has updated, the experience changed. Now apply this to work, to the big project you've been avoiding, to the thing that actually matters but somehow never gets done. You avoid it because it produces almost no immediate feedback. You sit down, you stare at it, you do a bit, and then nothing. No signal, no confirmation that you moved, no level up. The email inbox, on the other hand, is a feedback machine. You answer one, it disappears. Satisfaction. You answer another disappears. More satisfaction. You can spend an hour in there and your brain thinks you've been productive because the feedback was constant, but you've moved nothing that matters. The fix is to break the real work into units small enough to produce feedback. Not the project, the next visible step. Not the chapter, the next paragraph. Not the business, the next action that produces a result you can see. You're engineering checkpoints into work that previously had none. And every time you hit a checkpoint, you mark it. You feel it. You let your brain register that something happened. Some people use time blocks, 25 minutes of work, 5 minutes off. The timer itself becomes the feedback loop. You're not just working, you're winning a round. The round ends. You got through it. That's a signal. Small, but real. And real is all your brain needs to keep going. The deeper thing underneath all of this, and this is where it starts to shift from a system into something more fundamental, is that curiosity changes everything. When you approach a process as something to get through, your brain is in resistance the whole time. It's counting down. It's looking for the exit. It's treating every moment of the process as a cost to pay toward a future reward. And in that mode, nothing interesting can happen. You're too busy enduring to actually engage. But when you approach a process as something to explore, what happens if I try it this way? What does this feel like today? What can I notice that I didn't notice last time? Suddenly you're inside it. You're present. And presence is where the feedback loop actually lives. You can't feel the small signals if you're somewhere else in your head. The people who are good at things, genuinely good, not just disciplined, are curious about the process. The cook who's been cooking for 20 years still finds things interesting about cooking. The writer who's written 100 pieces still notices something new about how words work. The person who's been training for years still pays attention to how their body feels today versus yesterday. They're in it, not enduring it. And here's the thing about curiosity. It's not a personality trait you either have or don't. It's a mode you can enter if you ask the right questions. What's interesting about this? What would happen if I changed this one thing? What's actually going on here that I haven't paid attention to before? Those questions don't require you to be a naturally curious person. They just require you to ask them. And once you ask them, your brain starts looking for answers, and looking for answers is itself engaging, and engaging is the opposite of suffering. The identity piece is where it all solidifies. Because right now, for most people, the process sits outside their identity. I'm someone who has to go to the gym. I'm someone who should eat better. I'm someone who needs to be more productive. Has to, should, needs to. The process is external. It's a demand being placed on you from outside. But at some point, for the people who stick, the language shifts. I'm someone who trains. I'm someone who eats well. I'm someone who does the work. The process becomes part of how they describe themselves, not just what they do. And once that happens, skipping isn't just missing a session. It's a contradiction of identity. It creates dissonance. And dissonance is uncomfortable enough that you'd rather do the thing than skip it. You don't have to wait for that identity to arrive on its own. You can claim it early, not as a lie, but as a direction. Not I am someone who trains, but I am becoming someone who trains, and someone who trains shows up today. The label pulls the behavior. The behavior reinforces the label. The loop closes slowly, and then all at once. This is the thing about making process enjoyable that nobody tells you. It's not about hacking your way into liking something you hate. It's about removing the conditions that make it feel like suffering in the first place. The broken feedback loops, the absence of curiosity, the external identity, the no-exit endurance marathon, and replacing them with conditions where engagement is actually possible. You don't have to love the dishes. You don't have to be passionate about eating vegetables. You don't have to feel inspired every time you sit down to work. But you can make those things produce enough signal that your brain stops treating them as threats and starts treating them as normal. And normal is enough. Normal means you do it, and doing it consistently over time is the only thing that actually produces anything worth having. The process was never supposed to be pure suffering. That idea was sold to you and you bought it, and it's been costing you ever since. The people who build real things, real health, real skills, real work, they found a way to be in the process without constantly wishing they were somewhere else. Not because they're special, because they stopped fighting the design problem with willpower and started actually fixing the design. You can fix it too. Pick one thing, one process that you've been forcing yourself through, and instead of trying harder, ask a different question. What would make this produce a signal my brain can actually feel? Start there, see what happens. The answer might surprise you. Because here's the last thing I want to leave you with, and it's the part that took me the longest to actually believe. The process is the life, not the warm-up to it, not the cost of admission. The process, the daily doing of things, the showing up, the building, that is the actual substance of your existence. The results, when they come, are moments, brief ones. The process is years, and if you spend those years in a state of constant resistance, grinding through something you've decided you hate, waiting to finally arrive at the place where life starts, You will get there and realize you already lived your life. You lived it in the waiting room. But if you fix the design, if you make the process something your brain can actually engage with, something that produces real signal, something that has curiosity and rhythm and feedback built into it, then the years don't disappear into suffering. They become the thing itself. The gym session isn't a payment toward a future body. It's a thing you did today that felt like something. The clean kitchen isn't a chore you survived. It's evidence of a life that has order in it. The work isn't a tunnel you're crawling through toward the other side. It's the actual shape of how you spend your time, and it can have texture and interest and small daily satisfaction if you let it. Most people never let it. They're too busy trying to get through it to actually be in it. And the tragedy of that, the real cost, is not that they fail to reach their goals. It's that they spend the majority of their waking hours in a state of low-level misery, waiting for a moment of relief that, even when it comes, doesn't last long enough to justify all the suffering that came before it. You don't have to do it that way. The design can be fixed. The feedback loop can be built. The curiosity can be turned on. And the process, when those things are in place, stops being something you endure and starts being something you actually live. That's the version I want. That's the version that's actually available. And it starts not with more discipline, not with a better morning routine, not with a harder commitment. It starts with asking a single honest question about whatever process you're currently white-knuckling through. What would make this feel like something worth doing today? Not just worth having done someday. Ask that question seriously enough, and the answer will change everything.